Okay, hello. I am going to try and make a video on how to use Game Maker, Game Creator, I've even got that wrong, Game Creator 001 to make a screensaver. So I could create new, so we're going to create new game, action RPG, and I'm going to give it today's date. Okay, and that creates a bog standard thing. There's going to be quite a lot of scripting involving, so let's give it a test. Okay, so the first thing is I want a blank screen and I want to be able to get out of it using the escape key. Okay, I'm setting it to my screen resolution, size I'm working in, because it pops the colour really well. I need to turn off various options.
Reinforcements inbound.
And for some reason there's a magic door always up in here to disappear into, which I don't really want to do. Okay, so I've just put in an escape quit option. Okay, so hopefully I can do this whilst it's doing its thing. So that's 60 frames of a rendered animation, a JPEG, PNG or PNG. PNG is probably better because it's already bitmapped. JPEGs it's got to actually decompress and recompress, not too great. And so that should create a sprite. So of course, create file one sprite and a red, green, blue, and then I'm going to stick purple at the end. So I'm going to have 4 different colours, but to start with, let's just get one working. So I'm importing the sprite. I'm going to turn it into a parallax background, and then I'm going to add a timer that on creation turns the player invisible so you don't see the little guy running around. And that is the basics of the screensaver. I hope it's not crashed just because I pressed the control key to speak, but I'll give it a fair bit of time. This is an i7 with 16 gig, and it normally takes about 3 minutes to import the 60 frames and stick it into animation. If it fails, then I'll try again without pressing control. Not a good sign to see it all whited out, to be honest. It normally doesn't white out unless it's really properly crashed. So I'm really pushing it to the limit with the 60 frames, and then what I do is have 3 different rooms or 4 different rooms. So there'll be a red room, a green room, a blue room, and a purple room. What I'll do is switch them. There we go. Between the two. So we've got the sequence. Now I've got to save it. So I'm centering it on the map. And then this displays it. And to be honest, we could stop right there, and I think I will for this video. And that's imported what I've done there. Oh no, actually I've got to get rid of the sprite as well. So imported this sprite, 60 frames of animation as a sprite, stuck it as a parallax background, and away we go. Great. Still got the guy wandering about, which I've got to turn invisible, and then so I've got to put a timer in, I suppose, to really finish it off. But let's see how that looks in the game and this will save it as HTML5, save it as a Windows file, and there's even an option to save it as an iPad application as well. So that's one of the reasons I've chosen this game creator. You get it off Steam, and it has a great deal of built-in functionality. Although it's only designed really for making little platformers and shooters, it has the potential to be used a bit more creatively, and I may even try and make an RPG later with it. Okay, whilst it's loading, there we are. It's not full screen, and that's because I have put it in testing mode to just put it in a window. And I hope you can see the potential of using this. You can have also any kind of animation to make it an animated background for for people, like a star field or I don't know, a cityscape. It's got an incredible amount of potential, really, but only 60 frames. And although it's saying so, it's got about 40, and it's only operating at 40 frames a second, 30 frames a second, which that's pretty low performance, really. But I mean, it looks okay, just performance-wise for all these people that want to be running at 300 frames a second. But you know, for a platformer, you don't really need 300 frames per second. That's only really for first-person shooters, and even then, it's versus PvP shooters need to be that performance. This stuff doesn't need to have that kind of level. Another point of interest is that the program I used this is a fractal generator animator, Amberlight, and it takes roughly 30 minutes on an i5 to render these 60 frames. So that's, you know, what we're seeing here in real time in this limited environment took an i5 30 minutes to render. So you can get visually stunning stuff going on within a very limited environment, which I think is very cool. The flip side of that is it takes, I think, about 100 megabytes for the animation. So instead of writing small stuff that would be mathematically calculating this from 4 different light sources, you've pre-rendered it into an image. So it's but that would take up a heck of a lot of processing power, which this doesn't. Right, final thing for this video before I go on to 4 different rooms and make it into 4 different colours is to stick in a timer to get rid of the actor, the little guy running around. Somewhere along here. Right, so that's the visual programming. I suppose I could show you it in code. Why not? By moving to textual, it's a text code. Set actor main no draw equals 1. But now I can't go back to the other code, to the visual side. That's a one-way street. But it's I love visual programming using scripting stuff. I just love that. Good for me. So let's start and rename that.
Reinforcements inbound.
So I've renamed the timer timer 1 just to make it more sensible than just referring it to as 0. And I've turned the, well, let's test it. And as you can see, the actor's still there, but he's invisible. And he'll be used later to move to the next map to change the colours. So I'll be moving him along. That gets a bit more complicated. But for now, you know, how long did that didn't take too long, apart from the rendering of the image, to create a standalone executable that will act as a screensaver. And the reason for me doing this is I was finding that the Windows screensavers had a habit of being joggled off and then staying off, either from the keyboard signal or the mouse sending extra signals or just people walking past. So this screensaver will only go if you press escape rather than any other key or any other thing, and you could change that to any key you liked. With a warning that I am not sure that just using one colour and quite bright colours, I don't see any spot here that is always one colour, so it is dynamic. But the whole point of the next tutorial is to change the colours and change the location so that the screen doesn't burn out on red. So that a little bit of a concern. I'm pretty sure it'd be okay, but I think it's a good idea to do the next bit, which is to change the location and change the colours. It's a shame. I would like my old optimised self would like to be able to just flip this side, use bitmap operations just to flip it on the x-axis or the y-axis, so that would pop up here or pop up over here, and then just add a colour palette rotation onto it. But unfortunately at the moment this doesn't support it, but it would be really awesome if they did bring in colour palette rotation. A lot of things support it, and it basically turns GIFs and sprites. You can get all sorts of colour variations from the same sprite. It's a bit like in Super Mario where you get Rainbow Land, but you can also tone it down a bit so it's not quite so aggressive. They do have a change colour option, but I wasn't very impressed with that. It didn't seem to work too well. This seemed to mute it all. And maybe I should experiment a bit more with the change colour. So the next video I will be changing the colours, having multiple animations, adding a spacebar control to switch to different animations. And that's about it, I think.